Okay, now you're ready to collect data. So we're going to click that button at the bottom and it'll show your client's name. You click that arrow to the right, you get behaviors and skills. And if you click the arrow to the left, you'll get a drop down of all the behaviors and all the skills that you're going to be working on with your client. You can select certain ones to bring them in and just collect data on those. Or if you would like to bring all of them in, you click that box to the right of behaviors and to the right of skills, and it selects everything. Next, you're going to click that arrow at the top right, and it brings you to the screen where you can start collecting data. So with each program for your client, you need to like open it up in order to collect data. So what I want you to look at is this top one, skill goal A1, mastered waiting for preferred item. So if you we don't know what that means. So we're going to click that gear to the left, that orange gear, and that takes us into a screen with a whole lot more information. This is basically everything that your BCBA wants you to know about this particular skill. So you'll have a goal sentence, you may have a definition, you've got objectives. The student will wait for preferred items by quietly pausing and delaying interaction until signaled to engage. You will work on the first objective. And once that's mastered, then you'll move on to the second and then the third. And you'll talk to your BCBA about when to move forward with those. If you have noticed the client has mastered it, say the objective one here is delaying interaction for 5 seconds. So if that's been mastered according to the mastery criteria below objective three, you can talk to your BCBA about it, or your BCBA may talk to you about it. So just be aware. You'll start with objective one and then move through the objectives. Now, as we scroll down, it says exercise, and that it's like a how to teach the skill, and then ideas for generalizing, maybe with different people, different settings. You've got an example of how to use error correction, a list of supplies you might need for teaching this skill, troubleshooting certain issues you may have, and then helpful hints. Keep in mind, you may not have all of this information for every skill that's written. So if you have questions, specific questions for your BCBA about like how would I do error correction on a particular skill, you can reach out to them and ask if the information is not here. So I do want you to look at the top. The middle tab says data. And once you've started collecting data, you'll see it here. You can actually look at a bar graph. If you click on, it's kind of underneath the word in between waiting and for at this top right, on the gray bar. There are those orange lines, and that'll take you into where you can see the graph of your data and the notes. If there were any notes, that's where you would find those. So now we're going to be collecting frequency data. And so if you look at that top one, for every correct response, you're just going to hit that plus. And for every incorrect response, you're going to click the minus. Sometimes if your finger gets in the way, it might pull up a number pad, or you may accidentally add too many pluses, and so you may need to delete because it's not accurate. So say we only had four, so we could put a four in. Okay, that is frequency data collection. Now I would like you to look at this particular goal. It's got more than just the plus and the minus. We've got some different codes here. These are prompt codes. So for every correct response, you're going to hit the plus. But for incorrect responses, now your BCBA wants you to pay attention to what type of prompting you used. If there was no prompting, you would just click the minus. If you did a positional prompt, that's the PO, then you would store it as a positional. Like if you moved an item closer to your client, that would be positional, or if there was gestural, that's G. P is partial physical. F is full physical. You may have like V for verbal prompt. If you see a prompt code that you're not familiar with, ask your BCBA and they will be happy to tell you what that is. And so next we're going to look at the behaviors. And this is the same thing. You can click on the gear and it'll give you more information on that. But again, you have to open each one of the programs up in order to collect data. Um, Notice there's if spitting is occurring, we're just going to put a plus every time. Or if there's aggression, and that's defined by any instance of client hitting others with an open hand. So make sure you know what the definition of the behavior is before you collect data on it. Now, for yelling, if you see there's a toggle switch, that is what we use to collect duration data. So if yelling, whoops, we're going to look at any instance of the client speaking above a conversational level out of the context of the current activity. So every time that occurs, we're going to just hit the toggle switch and that starts a timer. And that's going to run until the client is no longer yelling. And then if the client would start yelling again, we're going to turn it on again. And it just runs a timer that continues every time you start it and stop it for that session.